Hey everyone, so this is Catfish Season 5, Episode 15. I was able to watch it last night, so I'm gonna put this up a day early. So for the most part, I will try to put these Catfish episode reviews up on Fridays, because for the most part, I think I won't be able to watch them until Thursdays, and so I won't be able to watch them until Thursdays. I'm fairly certain I won't be able to, and so I will probably end up making the videos Thursday or Fridays, and put them up on Fridays. But in case I'm able to watch them Wednesday nights, I will make my videos on Thursdays and put them up. Just an FYI, so that way I'm not. I guess I'm not really confusing you guys on when I'm putting them up and when I'm not. Anyway, so let's get into Catfish. The catfishee's name is Spencer. The catfisher's name is Katy. That's not the biggest thing in this whole episode. Anyway, so the story is Spencer lives in Knoxville, Tennessee. He met Katy on a texting app and talked as much as possible for the last 6 years. So Katy lives in California and finally said that he would commit to him. But apparently, after like a few weeks, she killed any chance of that. And she kind of like just didn't really explain it. But apparently, she told him. She explained everything of why she wouldn't be able to, make a commitment to him in an email, but Spencer never got the email, and she had never resent it to him so he could read it. Anyway, so that's the whole story so far. Up until like that's what they were told via email. So as per usual, Neve and Max call him up via Skype, and during the call he says the Katy Perry he's referring to is the Katy he's referring to is Katy Perry. Max brings up the problem of her being with someone else at the moment, which is true because I mean, as far as I knew, she was single. I mean, I didn't know that she was with Orlando Bloom until this episode. At least I don't remember ever hearing about that. But apparently, she's with Orlando Bloom, in a relationship with Orlando Bloom at the moment. And Neves asked the valid question: what makes Spencer think he's actually talking to the real Katy Perry? And Spencer says over the course of the past 6 years, she would give him little details and stories that only Katy would know. Max and Eve don't buy this whatsoever, and it's clear. And he explains about 2 weeks after first talking with her, she deleted her profile off of the app and claimed she had sent the email explaining what had happened, and why she didn't want to actually commit to him. Max asks, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest of confidence, 1 being the lowest of confidence, how fully he believes she's the real person, and he says 1,000. And this is going to be Max asking Spencer this question is going to be a recurring thing in this episode. But anyway, that's the first time he asks, and so Spencer says he only talked to her once on the phone, and it cost $270 because she had a phone from Canada. Anyway, so then the pair make their way to Knoxville, Tennessee, and go to Spencer's house. Once inside Spencer's house, they get to talking to him and about him and Katy, and she apparently sent a bunch of songs before they were ever released. So they look at the email that she sent with the various songs that she sent to him before they were actually released, and they click on one of the supposed songs, and it's clear it's a YouTube video. I mean, it says that it's been it said that the video has been disabled, but it's pretty clear that it's a YouTube video at this point. It's a YouTube video. And Neves says she's linking him songs from random YouTube channels, which is basically true. She's linking, whether they're actually her YouTube channels or not, or YouTube channel or not, she's linking random YouTube videos to him. So they're not actually songs, because Max brings up the point that if she was the one who was actually giving him the songs, it wouldn't be videos, let alone ones from YouTube. They would actually be WMA files, or MP3 files, or MP4 files, or whatever. It's gonna be something like that. It's gonna be a file, not an actual video. Like, it's not gonna be a YouTube video. So Max says that none of the things first they talk about marriage. Spencer says that they talked about marriage and children, and that he actually made a ring for her. And he shows them the ring, and they ask how much he had spent, how much of his savings he spent on the ring, and he says about 25% of his savings has gone toward making it. Anyway, Max says that none of the things he's shown them has proven that what he claims is true. And then, which is very true, because it's like, I mean, if anything, it proves the opposite, that she's not the person that she's claiming to be. So then they leave to investigate. So they go back to their hotel room, and they begin working to investigate. He only has the one phone number from her, and the email address for her as well. So they begin by searching the phone number, and it says it's a cell phone from Calgary, Alberta. Then they look up the email address, because the phone number only gives them the city and province from within Canada, not the actual, like, not an actual name or photo or anything like that. So then they end up searching the email, and they got a hit to a woman named Harriet, who is now currently living in England, and actually has a photo attached to the email address. And there's also a profile associated with this email, and it's on Ask FM. I have no idea what that is. I'll look it up myself later after I recap this episode, but I've never heard of it before. So they go on it and read. The only thing that they can really read on this profile is the About Me, and then they search this Harriet person up on Facebook, and she's the only one that they find. And it says that she's from Calgary and now lives in Gloucester, England. And then they look at her profile and see a bunch of posts about Katy Perry. One in particular is it says when Katy Perry notices your art. And they then see a post from someone who has recently, like 2 days ago, like two days ago, prior when this episode was actually filming, from a person who hung out with her. So they reach out to his friend, whose name is Amy, but they didn't really get anything back right away. So they just go and talk to Spencer to tell him what they found. So they quickly go over to Spencer's house, and his brother Sam is there with him. So Sam mentions that he saw Neve's documentary about him being catfish, and Neve explains that he now goes on the road helping people who are in situations like he was back in 2010, 2011, and then Neve asks Spencer to explain to his brother why he's here. So Spencer eventually does, and Spencer and Neve and Max show him the engagement ring you made. So he shows his brother the ring, and Neve and Max, and then after that, Neve, Max, and Spencer go into the dining room, so the other two can tell Spencer what they found. So they show him what they have. They show the information on the number, then they show the email address info. When Spencer reads about the About Me on Ask FM, he says it doesn't sound like her, and he says she isn't the biggest Lady Gaga fan. But Neve explains the email address Spencer has been corresponding to is associated with Harriet. Then they show him the Facebook page and tell him that they feel pretty confident that this Harriet woman is the same person he is talking to. And Spencer is still adamant that what Harriet is writing on a Facebook and on Ask FM doesn't line up to what Katy is sending him via email. Max pretty much asks how so, and Spencer pretty much just reiterates that. And Neve then says, okay, you know what, let's just, kind of decompress for the day, and let you, and so you can process this. And because Neve points out that Spencer seems mad because a minute ago he seemed 1,000% sure he was talking to the actual Katy Perry, and now he's all sulky and shit. So Neve then says they have one viable option now, and that is to go to England and reach her to reach out to her, but it's up to him. Says, you know what, I want to meet her, so she can explain herself, basically. So the next day, they come back, pick him up, and go to the airport. On the way, Spencer is still clinging to the idea that he's actually talking to Katy Perry. And I'm just like, dude, come on, really? At this point, you pretty much know for a fact that this is not Katy Perry. So he, well, I don't remember, I'm not really sure about this, but it's either him or his brother Google Katy and says that there might be some rocky waters with Orlando Bloom, and I'm just like, dude, really? Like, are you really gonna continue saying that she's the real Katy Perry? Anyway, then they eventually make it to London and go to their hotel room. And then the next day, after they get there, they go to Spencer's room and check their Facebook messages. Amy has now gotten back in touch with them, so they call her back on FaceTime and ask Amy to tell them about Harriet. Amy says Harriet is her ex-girlfriend, and Max asks if Harriet is bisexual or gay or something completely different or what, and Amy says Harriet is 100% gay, and that they dated for a couple months. Neve asks Amy to tell Harriet they spoke and to reach them on his number, on the number Neve is using, and and then after they hang up, they say they have no choice but to go out there to meet them. So they make their way to Gloucester and eventually to their separate rooms, and Neve and Max are talking in one room by themselves to each other, and they come to the conclusion that Harriet must know that they are there by now, and that Amy seemed all too willing to talk the previous day. So Neve says that they feel like if they don't meet Harriet, that Spencer's gonna believe he's just gonna continue believing he's talking to the real Katy Perry. And Max is about to say something when the phone rings, and so Neve goes to the phones and is told that she's here. They go to Spencer's room, tell him that she's here, and then they go downstairs to meet her in the garden. Excuse me, sorry. Max asks her if she's been talking to Spencer for the last 6 years, and she says yes, she has. She doesn't really know Katy Perry, and Spencer asks her if there's anything she had to say to him, and she says she's sorry. She guesses she's sorry, and then he says, well, there's really saying you're sorry isn't something you should guess at. And then she kind of laughs at that a little bit. I guess not really laughs at it, but she kind of doesn't embarrass, she laughs embarrassingly. So and Neve asks her if there's any part of this that is humorous. She says no, but it doesn't seem like she's sincere. So Max then tells her that Spencer knew she was a real Katy Perry because she had a lot of details, or Spencer was convinced that she was the real Katy Perry because she had a lot of details or stories about her life that the real Katy Perry pretty much seems to only know. She explains that she was a huge fan of Katy Perry, so she knew those things. The Spencer said he checked everything, and that, and then Spencer said that he feels like he would feel more excitement coming from her since she she's actually seemed to want to meet him. Um, so in response to that, he asks her where they met, and she says the app. And then he whispers to Max that she isn't the one he was talking to. And he says, well, then who could it be if it really isn't her? And Spencer says Katy, and it's like, dude, come on, this chick is really telling you that she's the one who has been talking to you under the guise of Katy Perry. So why the fuck you don't want to believe it, I don't fucking know. I mean, at this point, I'm just like, you have some issues. You have some mental issues that really hinder you from grasping that this isn't really Katy Perry. Eve asks Harriet if there's anything she can tell him that will possibly bring true that he's not talking to the real Katy Perry. She says his middle name is George. He dressed up in a hot sauce one Halloween. Again, I don't know. That to me was like, why the fuck are you dressed up as hot sauce one Halloween? Anyway, that's the point. And he asks her what are the names of the children they would have given to their children if they had them one day, that they talked about. When she answers, he says it's not her, and they ask why not, and she says she got the first two names right but not the last one. And Max says there's no way he's talking to real Katy Perry. Spencer says Harriet got some pretty important details wrong, but even Max are not having it, because at this point, as they point out, the details wouldn't be that important to her. Like, she wouldn't really necessarily memorize the details, because, as was pointed out by Amy, Harriet is gay. So, she wouldn't necessarily remember all the details, especially fictional children that they would have given names to, because she's not going to have children with him, specifically because she's gay. She's going to have children with anyone, it's going to be with a woman. So, and he tells him that they found who he was talking to beyond any shred of doubt, and he still wants that, and yet he still wants to believe he's actually talking to the real Katy Perry. They then tell him he needs to start accepting the fact and they tell her that she needs to start thinking of people's feelings more. And so then they just part for the day. They go back to the hotel room, and they pretty much press one more time that this isn't the girl he was talking to. And Spencer brings back up that the girl he was talking to and the person who was standing in front of them are two very different people, which is true. Like, if you're gonna catfish someone, they're gonna be two different people, because the way they act with you is gonna be it's not gonna be the way they act in real life, for the most part. I mean, so Max says he needs to start accepting that there is no Katy Perry that he's in love with. And the next morning, Spencer goes back to even Max's hotel room, and he seems to finally accept that Harriet was the girl he was talking to. And Neve says that they should talk with her by themselves, like they should talk with her by themselves before he talks to her one final time. So they go meet with her and talk to her for a little bit. And Neve explains that a very big part of the reason why he had a hard time accepting that Harriet was the one who was talking to him was because of the fact that Katy seemed very bubbly and outgoing, and Harriet the previous day wasn't acting like that at all. If anything, she seemed more subdued and introverted and everything. So she says she started the profile because Katy had all the personality traits she didn't have back then, and I guess she still doesn't have now. And she says that first Max asks if she was shocked he really thought it was Katy Perry, and she says yes, because he was the only one who seemed to believe wholeheartedly that she was Katy Perry. So they bring Harry back to the hotel so her and Spencer can talk, And then she explains herself, which is the same old. Like she was feeling insecure about herself and all this stuff. So it's the same old basically. And then it goes to 2 months later. Neve and Max call Spencer as per usual on Skype, and he seems better and realizes he won't be so gullible next time. And they ask if he's talked to Harriet and explains that he's tried sending a couple of emails but hasn't gotten a response back from her. And I want to point out that Max asks him at the beginning of the Skype call and the 2 months later thing. He asks on a scale of 1 to 10, how strongly do you feel that you were talking to the real Katy Perry? Or how confident do you feel that you were talking to the real Katy Perry previously? And now he's at a 0. The last time Max asked him that, he was at a 1 because he was feeling kind of defeated at that point and seemed to get that he wasn't talking to real Katy Perry. And then after they talk to Spencer, they then call Harriet via Skype and ask her about the emails. She says that they were different and that they were weird, pretty much weird, because in them he asks, or in them he says he met a girl. He said he sends an email to the Katy Perry, to the email that she used as pretending to be Katy Perry, and he sounded like he was actually talking to the real Katy Perry, saying, hey Katy, I met this girl in England, and pretty much asked why he wasn't able to meet her in person in England. And it's just like, and Lee's like, and even that you're just like, really at this point, really. And so Neve asks, so you sent an email to the address that you used as Katy Perry, to ask why Katy didn't meet him? And she's like, yeah. So they end the call with Harriet and call Spencer back and confront him about the emails. And he's like, I just wanted to keep investigating. Like, boy, no. At this point, I really believe he still thinks that he was being punked. I really believe that he feels that Katy Perry set up this whole Harriet situation just so that he wouldn't meet her. I really think that he's still convinced that he is talking to Katy Perry. I really do think so, because any reasonable person would realize that they weren't talking to this particular celebrity, and so they would give up any notion that they were talking to the celebrity that they thought they were talking to. So I'm really I really do believe that he thinks that he's talking to the real Katy Perry still. So I'm of the mind, and a couple people think in the MTV Catfish Facebook comments think that he's still trying to communicate with the real Katy Perry via the email that Harriet used to catfish him as Katy Perry. And so I think that he's still corresponding to that email address or something, or he's still something. Either that, or he's still thinking that Katy Perry orchestrated this whole thing so that she wouldn't have to meet him in person. I really think that he's deluding himself. I still think that he believes that Katy Perry wants to be in a relationship with him. I still think that he is going to eventually start talking to her again, and everything. And I still think that he believes that he's in a relationship with her, because any like I said, but like 2 seconds ago, any reasonable person would not. Any reasonable person would not continue to assume that the real celebrity that they thought they were talking to just orchestrated this whole catfish thing. Any reasonable person would not think that. Any reasonable person wouldn't think that. Okay, so with that said, I saw at like they usually do with TV shows that have with any TV show, they showed a little clip, like a little 30-second clip of the next week's episode, and they didn't really give the whole kind of background of the episode. So I saw somewhere else online that this woman well, no, so they kind of explain that she's married. She's been married for 7 years, but yeah. So this woman is married, and she has been for the last 7 years, and I'm assuming she feels like she's being catfished. And so before she tells her husband that, and this is the part where I got offline. Before she wants to tell her husband that she, I guess, is in a relationship with someone else, she wants to confront this catfish to make sure that she's not actually being catfished or anything. So during the little 30-second clip at the end of episode 15, it shows Neve, Max, and the woman going to confront this catfish, and the person comes out, and it sounds like, based off of what the woman says, which is a curse word that they bleep out, it seems like she realizes who this catfish is, because it seems like this catfish, this person who she's talking to, is not the real person, and so they find out that she's talking to a catfish, and so when they go confront the real person and not the person in the photos, it seems like she knows who's been catfishing her. So I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it's either her husband, or it's either her husband or someone, or a friend of hers that she kind of, I guess, screwed over, or she made them feel bad or something, or it's like an ex-boyfriend or something. That's what I'm gonna say. It's definitely someone she knows. Who it is, I'm not really sure. I'm thinking it might be the husband, like I said, or it might be an old friend of hers that she kind of wronged in the past, or possibly even a family member that she wronged in the past, or someone. But it's definitely someone she knows by the way she reacted. So I can't wait till next week to find out what's going on explicitly with this whole catfish situation. With that said, if you like this video, hit like. If you want to see more videos of catfish, please hit subscribe so you can get notifications of when I upload new videos about catfish. And please do not hesitate to talk to me in the comments below about these catfish episodes. So I would love to talk to you guys about all this. And with that said, I will see you guys in the next catfish video next week. and can't wait to dissect this episode, the next episode. Bye.